Okay, so we're going to take a look at finding the greatest common factor, or abbreviation is GCF. And one way we can do that is we find the GCF of the numbers, and then we look at the variables and we take the smallest power variable that appears, and that would be how many they have in common. So here, if I just have numbers, what I'm going to do with 55 and 25 is I'm just going to list all the factors. So you should have gotten a factor table or chart in class. So 55 factors are 1 times 55 and 5 times 11. Factors of 25 are 1 times 25, 5 times 5. And so we're just going to look at those, and we're going to see the common factor is 5, and that's the largest. So the GCF here is just 5. Okay. Then we can throw in some variables. Okay. So x squared means x times x, and then x is just x. Okay, so you see that we have an x in common, so that's the greatest number of x's we have in common, which is just x. Okay, then we're going to look at the factorizations of 12. So we have 12 times 1, 2 times 6, 3 times 4. Factors of 3 are 1 times 3, and that's it. Let's make this look like a nicer 4. So the GCF here appears to be 3. Okay, so my GCF is just 3x. That's it. So let's do something a little more fancy. GCF of 12, x squared, y cubed, z to the 5th. And 18, xy squared, z to the 4th. Okay. And we're just going to focus on the variables. So the shortcut is just take the smallest power of each variable you see. Here's the long way. So x squared is x times x. Y cubed is y, z to the 5th is z, 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 z. And if we do the other one, we have the xy squared z to the 4th, so that's going to be x, y, z, 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 z. Okay? So we want to be efficient. We don't want to spend all this time writing this out every time. So the smallest power of x I saw was 1, and notice that they have an x in common. So you see they have 1x in common. Okay. The smallest power of y is y squared. You see that they have 2 y's in common for the y squared. And then the smallest power of z we see is z to the 4th, and they do in fact have z to the 4th, or 4 z's in common. Okay. Then we'll look at the numbers. So we already did 12. It was 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4. Then we'll look at 18, which is 1 times 18, 2 times 9, 3 times 6. And I'm looking for the greatest number they have in common, which appears to be 6. So 6 gets included. Then, as mentioned before, you see we have 2 x's in common. I'm sorry, not 2 x's in common, just 1 x in common. But we have 2 y's in common, so that gives us a y squared. And then we have 4 z's in common for the z to the 4th. And that's finding your GCF. That's one step in factoring. And that's actually the first step that you want to do. Is if you can factor out the GCF, a lot of times it's going to make your life a little bit easier. And that's our goal. We want to make this as easy as we can.